So lead me into, there's a second clip that we're going to show, but lead me into what led up to that Stop the Stigma, that first Stop the Stigma video.
Yeah, so we were thinking and brainstorming as an organization. We were saying, what's the best thing we can do to break and shatter this stigma around addiction? And we thought, hey, let's see if we can make this thing go viral. And that was just a dream of ours. Let's see if we can make this thing go viral all around the city through social media, and let's really involve the young kids.
So it was an online campaign.
Yeah, it's an online campaign for us to really involve the youth of our city as a base to make this thing go viral and let others know that there is a real stigma around addiction, and there doesn't need to be, because that holds people back from recovery, holds people back from finding life and community and all that stuff. And so what we did was we planned for this one day where everybody in the city could change their profile pictures on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever their social media is, change their profile picture to this Stop the Stigma profile picture, and then start tweeting about it, start sharing posts on Facebook about it, start snapping about it, and wearing these pins that show support for Stop the Stigma Day.
It was a colored pin,
It was
correct?
a blue colored pin for recovery, which is the, blue is the color for recovery. And so they were told to change their profile picture, take a picture, selfie of themselves with the pin, and start sharing it with their broader audience. And it was really fun getting to plan that, because we had no idea what was going to happen.
And that first video actually explained what stigma was.
That's right, yeah. So what we did was we went around the city. We got some people that were supporters of stopping the stigma of addiction, and we just asked them to talk about what stigma is and how that prohibits people from finding recovery. And we went around the schools, the middle school, the high school, and just talked about that and showed it. And the response was incredible. There's teachers, administrators that were all on board and saying, hey, when Stop the Stigma Day comes, we're on board, we're gonna do it, and we're gonna let our kids know what stigma is and how to break that stigma around addiction.
That's amazing.
My brother suffers from the disease of addiction and has no idea how much we love him.
As a high school coach and recreation coordinator, I've lost some players due to the disease of addiction. These were talented kids with bright futures who were taken from us much too soon.
I have family members who suffer from the disease of addiction, and it has had a huge impact on my life.
This is my son, Michael. He died of this disease. There's not a day that goes by that we don't miss him.
I'm 20 years in recovery, and I've dedicated my life to helping others.
My name's Jimmy. I have 6.5 months clean, and my life's a miracle, and recovery is a beautiful thing.
My best friend is battling the disease of addiction and just got out of rehab.
My husband has 12 years in recovery, and I couldn't be more proud.
I witnessed somebody overdose and die at my former job, and it's something I'll never forget.
I have 2 years in recovery. My father wasn't so lucky. I lost him to the disease of addiction when I was 16.
My son was born addicted to heroin, and he's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Addiction is not a choice. Addiction is a disease. Throughout my career at Malden High School, I have seen many young people die tragically. Car accidents, lifelong illnesses, and overdoses due to addiction. No one of these lives is more important than the other. Malden, stop the stigma.
What is one of the first signs that you look for? So you pull up,
right.
You might offer the folks at home. What would you look for if just when someone might need Narcan or when you think there's trouble?
Sure. So the first thing we'd do is we'd recognize a person who has what we like to call an altered mental status. Someone who isn't acting properly, someone who is maybe very sleepy or nodding off quite a bit, or someone who is completely unresponsive to, hey, Joe, how are you doing? So the first thing we would do is just assess that. Sir, are you okay? If we have no response, we're, looking at somebody who might be in trouble. If that person stirs and is like, yeah, I'm fine, well then, we're going ahead and we're going to, help that person in another way. If this person is unresponsive at this time, the first thing we're going to do is, okay, this person's not responding to me, there's something very wrong with them, and I want to start the 911 system by picking up the phone and calling 911.
So You're checking to see if the person is responsive first. That's the first thing
Very
you do. So you
important.
might notice someone, maybe might look like they're sleeping.
Yes, that's exactly.
And you might want to check on that person. So you might approach that person, tap them on the shoulder, whatever you do, call their name. If they're not responding to you, you go to method 2, which trying to wake them up.
Yes.
And again, what are some of the manners you could use?
A simple tap on the shoulder.
That's it. Okay.
If you're unfamiliar with the individual, you might want to walk up and maybe tap your boot to the bottom of their shoes. Just, sir, ma'am, are you okay? You need any help? Again, most people at that time who are well enough will respond to you by saying, yeah, I'm fine, or leave me alone, or go away. Those types of responses would indicate that that individual is well.
And at this point, it's clear that the next step should be to call 911.
If they're unresponsive, sir, nothing, and you get a little bit closer, sir, still nothing, and then you know that there's definitely something wrong. We will want to go ahead and activate the 911 system.
Okay, so after you call 911.
Yeah, so real quick before we go too far,
Yep.
we should mention that if we're calling 911 via our cell phones, very often it goes to the state police. If it goes to the state police, please stay on the line. They're going to need to transfer you to the appropriate city or town that you are in. So that requires an additional 3 or 4 seconds, but many people will give their address and give where they are, and then they'll just be like, I need help, and hang up. Unfortunately, that you're giving the state police or a regional dispatch that information, and not the city or town that needs it.
And you could be hanging up too soon.
Much too soon.
Right.
Much too soon. Thankfully, the 911 systems actually can give you verbal instructions on how to give Narcan if you do not know how to do it.
Really?
We're gonna go ahead and cover that today. So that's one step out of the loop that we do not need to take.
Okay.
But staying on that line is going to get you a little bit more help, a little bit quicker, and a little bit more in depth.
So once you call, just stay on the line until
Please stay on the line,
okay.
absolutely.
And you could even go as far as putting your phone maybe on speaker,
Absolutely.
like we talked about, and putting the phone down.
Yeah, so if you're by yourself, then you go ahead and dial 911, put it on speaker, and anywhere you might be, you can put it on your pocket, you can put it right down next to the patient, wherever you may be. That way you can have a conversation and still be on the line, and yet still be helping this individual.
And the other person on the other end knows exactly what's going on.
Yep, and they can talk to you, and you can talk to them, and you'll have that open line.
Perfect.
Any information you're going to give to them is immediately going to be given to us as the first responders.
And at that point as well, it could make the person that called feel a little bit more safer, because at this point, I'm sure it's kind of nerve-wracking when you're coming across someone who might not be breathing.
Absolutely terrifying. Even still towards first responders, it gets our adrenaline going a little bit. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so once we've determined that they're not responding to us, we want to check to see if they're breathing and check to see if we have a pulse. We're going to, for this demonstration, assume that we have both breathing and a pulse, but the breathing is very, very slow. I'm going to say 5 or 6 times a minute, which is very, very low.
Okay.
Okay, but we have a pulse and we are breathing. I'm going to check their pupils next. Just very gently pull back their eyes. We're going to notice that the pinpoint pupils, the black part of your eyes, are going to be very, very, very tiny. All right, that it almost in and of itself speaks towards an opioid overdose. Maybe not just an opioid overdose, but definitely opioids in the system. Something that we can help with Narcan.
So right now I'm going to ask Matt, we're going to talk a little bit about active addiction and like what it might be like for a person that's caught in the grips of active addiction. So Matt, what was it like for you?
For me, when I was out there actively using, heroin became everything to me. It became my, who I woke up to, who I went to sleep with, who I chased after all day, who I sacrifice anybody for. I'd step over my family, my friends, my loved ones, anything to get that fix. And when you're in the cycle of addiction, it's really hard to see a way out. And especially like the generation that I came up in was the Oxycontin one. And when Oxycontin hit, nobody had a clue down the road that it was going to lead you to be an IV homeless heroin user. And that you was going to lose your family, your friends, your morals, any dreams, any ambitions. And, eventually with Oxycontin, the progression was the heroin. And when you're 12 years old and you sit there and you look at the word heroin, it has this dirty stigma, filth, like homeless guy under a bridge. That's what I always thought. And then, once you do Oxycontin, once you're dope sick, once you're kicking, you're spending hundreds of dollars on pills every day just to get that fix. And you can't find a pill, you can't afford just to get to normal, and heroin gets presented to yourself. all that stigma that was attached to it, that homeless guy holding the door open for you, the imagery ahead of what heroin was disappears because somebody says that's going to make you feel better.
So generally what I'm hearing is, you know, you start off the OxyContin and it becomes very expensive. You know, some of it's it's $1 a milligram. Could be it could be like $300 a day. And while you're already in that world, what can happen is someone can take a $10 bag of heroin,
put it in front of you, and say this is going to make you feel the same way as those 5 pills.
That's right.
And when you have a $300 a day habit, I don't know too many people that can afford a $300 a day habit.
That's right.
On a job, on money from your parents. So, you know, what me and my friends did was, you know, we committed crimes. We
turned to the street.
We turned, you know, we were monkeys that sold bananas to support the habit that we had. And that was how we survived. And slowly but surely, as you screwed over more people, as I kept getting arrested, as I kept getting into detox and programs, giving these broken promises of this time I'm going to get better, this time I won't be back in jail, I'm going to complete this program and then leave. You know, you end up hitting rock bottom. And when
Go ahead.
Well, when you hit rock bottom, you look around and there's nobody around you.
And who were some of the main people before, you know, I don't know about you, but so I just celebrated, I'm also in recovery. I'm 13 years in recovery. And for me, it was people who love me. That's what I went after first. And, you know, I like talking about this stuff just so folks can become informed, you know, the lying, the manipulation, and going at family.
We tug on the heartstrings of our loved ones and our family members. The people that love us the most, are our easiest victims.
That's right.
Because we can use their love and we can turn it against them to get whatever it is that we need. So if you love me, that's $50 for a bag of dope. Oh, you know, oh, I'm hurting, or I have this, or I need that. Let me get some money, and they're always there without fail because they love us and they care about us. And those are the victims.
Lies and manipulation.
Always lying. Oh, I need money for this. I lost my check. Or I'll pay you next week. And you know, anything that can possibly be said to get $40 to get a bag of dope.
And one more never happens.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. Just so folks can understand that might tune in and not really understand the horror and and this is a disease. You know, people do have it twisted, and like I'd like to talk about that for a minute. Like, you know, I'm not a doctor, but this is definitely it's a disease of the brain. It's a disease. It needs to be treated like a disease. People need help.
Well, you need long-term treatment.
That's right.
And the drugs are a byproduct of what's wrong with us. That's what we use to self-medicate, the depression, the anxiety, the trauma. Because you got to think, anybody that's out there actively using, we don't put ourselves in the best situations.
At all.
And then, you know, whether... For instance, for me, like, I mean, I was stabbed and somebody almost killed me. My best friend committed suicide. I was sleeping on his couch. I had to take him down. Like, these experiences that we have when we're out there using, what we do is we self-medicate with drugs and we numb all these feelings, all this trauma. And for years we push off. And then all of a sudden, 5 years of drug use, we're trying to get clean in a small amount of time. All that stuff we've been suppressing spills and just spills out where, you know, you got anywhere from 21 to 30-year-olds who have the mentality of a 12-year-old and life skills of a 12-year-old who don't know how to cope with pain, cope with trauma, cope with death.